All right, welcome back, Prospect Live viewers. We're back with another 2020 MLB Draft Team Preview. Joining me today is Joe Doyle from the site. Joe, really exciting team we're breaking down today. Pick 7, the Pittsburgh Pirates. New organization, new regime. Things are finally changing, we hope, in Pittsburgh. They do have to make a splash, especially with a disinterested fan base. Joe, where do you think they go at 7? I've heard Kjerstad. I've heard it's Hendricks. We've heard some other really interesting names at 7. What are you hearing? Where do you think they go?
Yeah, I mean, every rumor on the big sites is college bat. Heston Kjerstad is a big one. But no, I've seen Austin Hendrick mocked there. But what I'm hearing tonight is that Pete Crow Armstrong might actually be the prep outfielder that Pittsburgh is so enamored with. A year ago, this would have been easy to believe. I mean, Pete Crow Armstrong, possibly the best left-handed, prep outfielder in the class, and that changed throughout the course of the year. But it seems that Pittsburgh is so impressed with his defensive abilities and the power that may be coming in that center field profile. Mm-hmm. It might just be too much for them to pass up. So I don't think a lot of people foresaw this coming. And I think, honestly, Pete Crow Armstrong in Pittsburgh would be a really fun fit.
Yeah, and I think the thing that we've sort of overlooked in the last few months when it comes to Pete Crow Armstrong's profile is the fact that he is the only true center fielder and the only guy that you look at from those left-handed prep outfielders and say, yeah, that guy's an up-the-middle outfielder. He's going to stick in center field long-term. He's almost defensive first in some ways, and that's not knocking the offensive player or the bat. He's very exciting on that side of the ball as well. It's just, a way of sort of throwing the exclamation point on the quality of the defense with Crow Armstrong. So I do think it makes a lot of sense there. They also have picks at 31 and 44. They have a decent bonus pool. Where else do you think Pittsburgh could go? I'm starting to think it's hitters, certainly in the first rounds, probably a prep player, because we've heard a lot of different guys mentioned there. I've even heard Veen mentioned there as well. Mm-hmm. Where do you think they go 31 and 44? Could they potentially be in play for some of the college bats that will be there, or some of the college arms that might be there at 31 and 44?
Yeah, I think after pick number 7, all bets are off with Pittsburgh, because they've got the money to spend, and they've been attached to pretty much anybody that you could imagine in that range. I've heard them connected to Jared Schuster. I've heard them connected to Jordan Walker. I've heard them connected to a ton of college arms. Bryce Jarvis is another one that has been mentioned with Pittsburgh. Yeah. So truly, Ralph, I mean, your guess is as good as mine, but you would think that if they go the prep outfield route at number 7, they probably wouldn't go after another prep outfielder at 31. Listen, you just never know with Pittsburgh, because I don't know if a lot of people remember this. Josh Bell removed himself from the draft. He said, I'm not signable. Don't do it. They drafted him anyways and were able to sign him. So hell, I mean, if they ended up taking Dylan Cruz and just held his rights through August, it would be stunning, but it wouldn't be unprecedented. So what about you? You got any thoughts?
Yeah, that would be really spicy with Cruz, but I've heard a lot of the same things as you. Schuster is a name that I've heard mentioned there. Bryce Jarvis, if he gets there, I think is a really interesting name for them. And they've done a good job kind of under the radar of acquiring a lot of talented arms. Not all of them are humongous names, but they have a lot of organizational depth when it comes to pitching. That really shines through if, you see their AA squad. If you were able to get down to Bradenton and you watch any of those games in MLB, they have a lot of quality arms and a lot of guys that, were picked after round 3 or 4. And some names that you haven't heard that I think potentially could have major league roles. So they do a good job of identifying those guys. They're a team to watch for me, for sure. But no one in particular that I think you didn't already cover. Joe, anything else that you wanted to add on Pittsburgh before we wrap the sucker up?
No, I mean, Pittsburgh is another one of those teams that's going to be really fun to watch. A lot of picks, a lot of money, and a lot of ways to spend. So we'll see what happens.
And they're going to stab it in the heart of the hometown boy and not go with Austin Hendrick.
Yeah.
That would kind of be exciting, but we'll see what happens. Thanks for joining me, Joe, and thanks for tuning in to all the viewers out there. Don't forget to tune in here on draft night. We're going to be going pick by pick with analysis on every single selection on day one, and then have a show for day two as well. Myself, Joe, Eddie, Matt, all the gang will be there, as well as some special guests as well. Thanks for joining me, and join us on June 10th.